Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 5:06 and we're launching up into the atmosphere as we kick off this big Tuesday primary day in Virginia. We finally made it. If you didn't early vote, if you didn't mail in vote, just get out and vote. And even if you did, you go out and see if they made a proper record of your early vote. See if the system's working. That's always fun, too. It's O'Connor and Company here on this Tuesday morning, the 18th day of June. Coming up at 6:35, Tim Kennedy of Daily Signal has got a great story exposing how D.C. government has been allowing these unauthorized, unregistered mopeds, motorbikes, motorcycles, ATVs, plowing through the city. But now, after that investigation, D.C. government's cracking down. Coming up at 7:05, Maryland State Senator Justin Reedy on Wes Moore's latest executive actions. 7:35, Nick Minaka of Channel 7 about that closed-door Loudoun County meeting of the school board last night and what it was all about. 8:05, Rich Anderson, chairman of the Republican Party in Virginia. And then at 8:35, Tom Bevan, Real Clear Politics. Latest poll. We got a whole round of polls now confirming what we already knew. The American public not only didn't care about the conviction of Donald Trump, but most of them actually decided to support him after that conviction. That's all coming up. It's Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock. Good morning to you, Julie.
Good morning.
Julie, are you okay? Are you all right?
Fine.
Well, I worry about you. And I'm not the only one. New York Magazine has a cover story, and they've got a very compassionate, sympathetic, empathy-filled headline. It's, "Are Republican women okay?"
So insulting.
Are you okay?
Are you okay?
The cover of the New York Magazine, because, listen, anytime I want to know about what's going on with Republican women in this country, conservative women.
Yeah.
You know who has a finger on the pulse of conservative women in America?
New York Magazine.
Is New York Magazine.
Oh, yeah.
The article written by Rebecca Traister is the cover, and it's got this very weird sort of mosaic montage.
Dismembered.
Is that? Well, I guess that's true. It is. It shows basically women who have been cut into pieces, like some horrific crime. And it's you can see the face of Kristi Noem and the face of Marjorie Taylor Greene. They're both wearing MAGA hats, and then it shows somebody wearing a gun. Holding a gun. What looks like a
fully
souped
automatic.
up automatic, like a little Tommy gun or something. Anyway,
right, exactly.
The whole premise of this is what has happened to Republican women. They've gotten so radical and rage-filled. Yes, under Trump, under MAGA. And boy, when you click on the link and look at the article, the main picture here really shows it all. On the left side of the equation, they have Libby Dole, Barbara Bush, and Kay Bailey Hutchinson dressed in, your typical dresses or pants. No, they're not pantsuits. They're dress suits or skirt suits from an era gone by. Yeah. And then on the other side, you've got Kristi Noem, Nancy Mace, and this woman. She's a candidate for Secretary of State of Missouri, Valentina Gomez, who's been doing provocative videos that have gone viral, as if she's the iconic representative of Republican women. And the whole premise here is, remember when Republican women were like Donna Reed and Ozzie and Harriet, and they were so nice and normal, and we loved them. And of course, the irony here is, Julie, that you and I are both old enough to remember that they hated Libby Dole. They hated Barbara Bush. They hated Kay Bailey Hutchinson. They used to mock them for wearing dresses and being Donna Reed. But now they're acting like, oh, gosh, those were the good Republican women. What's happened to them now? Well, Julie, you're a Republican woman. Are you okay? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, well, this is what they're going to do. They're going to, gaslight is like the favorite word of the era, and suggest that that we're sort of not okay, right? We're rage-filled. But the truth is, and I think this is really interesting, as I was reading this and looking at this morning, I was remembering all the coverage this year that there's been on sort of the research done on not only conservative women, but also conservative families. And there have been some really interesting studies, but also some really funny stories coming out of this. Look, they've done some research, and conservative women are wildly happier. than liberal women, who seem to have a grudge, who seem to be angry, who seem to be filled with rage. And you see this. I mean, you see this constantly. It's this sort of idea that that we've made no progress, that women are still sort of fighting the patriarchy. It's this very like old school kind of, sexism is alive and well from the left. But from the right, women are generally very satisfied being with their families, and they're much more religious, and they find fulfillment in the home and raising their children. And so conservative women are generally happier, and they've sort of polled women, and they've found this. That's not it, though. It's interesting. Some studies came out just a couple months ago, and I actually did a podcast on this. Children of conservative parents are at lower risk of mental illness. They did a sort of wide-ranging study and showed that what they call authoritarian parenting from conservative parents. That means very standard stuff, Larry. We're talking about setting rules and setting sort of limits and telling your children no. Okay, I know these are new concepts nowadays, but that kind of parenting results in healthier children. The last headline that I actually love, I think this is so funny. They did a study with AI, and they found that conservative women are more attractive than liberal women. So, you've got sort of this very clear message out there that conservative women are generally happier, generally in more control, generally more satisfied with their lives. This enrages the left and enrages this New Yorker, New York Magazine writer. So I'm not surprised by this. They're going to belittle us. They're going to smear us. But the truth is, we're living happier, more fulfilled lives.
Yeah, it is. It's undeniably true. And if you look at liberal women or Democrat women, or at least the caricatures of them that most of us have encountered over the last several years, you've got the stereotypical rage-filled Karen who was walking on the other side of the street on the sidewalk during the pandemic with a mask on her face, with 3 masks on her face. Right. Charging across the street and screaming at you for, jogging by yourself and not infecting anybody. And they're with bloodshot eyes screaming at you that you're going to kill her mother and kill her children. I mean, that's the caricature of liberal women. But you would think it would be worthy asking the question, what's wrong with Democrat women? Women
in this country have been fed a lie for generations now. That you want to give up your family. Fine, go ahead and have kids, but you got to give up your family, put them in daycare as soon as possible, get back to work. You really, to be truly fulfilled, you have to live like a man. And this sort of girl boss attitude. And, I'm so impressed with the younger generation today. I get, what are they? They're not millennials.
They're Zoomers.
Are they Gen Z?
Gen Z?
Yeah, they're Gen Z.
Is there something before Gen Z?
No,
we haven't named the people after Gen Z.
There's also Gen Alpha. No, there's Gen Alpha.
Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Lord.
And they're saying no to birth control. They want to have big families. They want to get married young. I mean, this is really, but this is entirely on the conservative side in general. And, that's wonderful. But I think that there is a lot of anger among sort of the Gen X generation of women who, again, were told this lie and now realize, it didn't really lead to a fulfilling life.
And somebody also pointed out that if New York Magazine were to do an article profiling Democrat women, it would feature Dylan Mulvaney, Rachel Levine, and Leah Thomas. And if they're asking the question, what's wrong with Democrat women, I can begin with one answer, which is they have penises. Right. Hey, it's 5:15 WM weather.
WMAL, making sense of the vote because elections have consequences. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
Democratic culture has too many preachy females. It's too much. Don't eat hamburgers. Don't watch football. All right, wear condom. Like, man, leave me alone. You okay? I got a life to lead.
James Carville speaking for all of us actually here. That's the fun part about this is that it's so easy to say, seriously, you think there's something wrong with Republican women? And you're right. I hadn't seen it. They did this. It's like the cover art is like you took, 5 or 6 different women and you cut them at the you cut the pictures of them from a magazine at their torso, cut their arms off, cut their heads off, split them and then they put it together like a little weird jigsaw puzzle, right?
Yeah.
But it does look like something a serial killer would do.
Yeah.
It looks like a woman has been mutilated on the cover. It's kind of misogynist and sexist and gross to depict a woman like that, right?
Well, it's also, sort of, it's a little bit of their fantasy of turning women, conservative women, they're not actually living beings.
Yeah.
They're paper dolls. And that imagery also, it's just so reductive. I mean, the gun, the combat boots, the Lululemon, it's
yoga
it's
pants
just,
and
yes.
and of course the MAGA hat, because and I want to keep going back to this. I want to, even if you if you play the game with them and accept the premise that this is a new conservative woman, which yes, I think Nancy Mace, Marjorie Taylor Greene do represent a new breed of conservative politics in men or women. By the way, they're certainly. Sort of groundbreaking politicians in the way that they go about their business, and they're good at what they do. If you're accepting the premise of the article, which is, what happened to the good old days? Name me the Republican woman that they had anything nice to say about back in the so-called good old days. They've hated They thought any woman who voted Republican betrayed their sex, that they were turncoats. They had the worst kind of vitriol and venom for them because, abortion. It all comes down to abortion. Let's just remind everybody, all of this comes down to abortion. And as Mark Hemingway, political commentator and husband of a pretty strong conservative woman out there, said, I'd say the party where the elite female public officials answer the question, what is a woman, with I'm not a biologist, has a much bigger problem. Seriously, I hate to bring this all the way back to the transgender issue every time, but until Democrat women and liberal women can even define what a woman is, maybe they should, sit this one out in criticizing Republican women.
Yeah, it just is, again, I go back to this picture that they've included here, this sort of dismembered woman. Again, this coming from this analysis of, are you okay? That's the question next to the sort of the headline or on the cover. Are conservative women okay? The condescension there is so gross, considering what liberal women have sat by and allowed. Liberal women who are totally okay with the mutilating children. Liberal women who expect young girls to share spaces, locker rooms, and bathrooms with men. Yeah. Liberal women who for years have told women to ignore the natural instincts, things that tell women this is a dangerous situation, I'm uncomfortable. Liberal women are telling young girls to turn that off, and that they have a problem if they're uncomfortable with a male being in their spaces. Liberal women who were perfectly fine with closed schools and masking and hurting children. Again, hurting children. Liberal women who are perfectly fine with killing a baby after it's delivered. I mean, you want to ask a question: are liberal women okay? That's the question we should be asking.
The first paragraph tells you everything you need to know about this article in the New York Magazine that we're discussing. The cover story: are Republican women okay? Here's the opening paragraph. Can you provide a definition for the word woman? Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn lobbed this query at Ketanji Brown Jackson during her 2022 Supreme Court confirmation hearings. Get this. Blackburn was doing her bit for her party's effort to enforce transphobic gender conformity, positioning herself as a defender of womanhood as something fixed and narrow. Something that... That's the opening perspective of this entire article. New York Magazine. How did Republican women end up like this? The baffling contradictory demands of being female in the party of Donald Trump. And again, I want to reassure you that they hated Republican women when it was the party of Ronald Reagan and George Bush and Dwight Eisenhower, by the way.
I don't want to go over. But the second paragraph here, 2 years later, Republicans remain cruelly closed to the realities of gender fluidity and trans existence. Has this woman ever familiarized herself with the reversals in Europe on children and transgender
Apparently not.
surgeries?
No, no. Don't you understand? The United Kingdom and Sweden and Norway and Finland, they're all MAGA fascists. They're all affected by
That's
Trump.
it.
Listen, I'm going to write an article, same vein, are Democrat women okay? And I'm going to do the entirety of my research watching The View. What do you think my article is going to sound like? It's 5:23.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station.
Making sense of the news.
News Talk 105.9.
News now.
WMAL News at
105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
5:36 on O'Connor and Company, where I am the luckiest man in all of talk radio. I get to surround myself with problematic conservative women, where we constantly ask the question, are they okay? Exactly is wrong with them, especially the chipper blonde to my right, Julie Gunlock. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning, Larry.
At 6:35, Tim Kennedy of Daily Signal on a story about these unregistered mopeds and ATVs wreaking havoc in D.C. 7:05, Maryland State Senator Justin Reedy on Wes Moore's out-of-control executive orders. 7:35, Nick Minnock of Channel 7 on the Loudoun County School Board at it again. Also, we'll talk about the primaries today in Virginia with Nick and with Rich Anderson, chairman of the Republican Party, at 8:05. Then at 8:35, Tom Bevan, Real Clear Politics, see if we have a clearer understanding of how the conviction of Donald Trump. Did you know that Donald Trump is a convicted felon?
I've heard many, many times.
Joe Biden, on the other hand, is an unconvicted felon, which is frankly even worse. Much worse. Yes. All right, we'll get to all of that, but first, let's hear about a miracle. Are you ready? Because, I mean, listen, I believe in God. I believe that Jesus Christ is his son and our Savior. I believe in the Trinity. I believe the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. I believe in the things that are laid out in Scripture about how God can use individual human vessels here on our planet to do his wonders. Look at what Moses was able to accomplish. Look at what Isaiah is able to accomplish. Look at what the apostles were able to accomplish. I mean, the miracles happen every day around us. Don't you agree, Julie?
I agree.
That said, I'm not sure I'm buying this one. Here, take a listen to Cori Bush, who she wrote an autobiography like a year and a half ago, which of course nobody noticed.
Nobody read.
Nobody picked up on. And in that book, she mentioned in passing, oh, by the way, I remember one time when I laid my hands on a woman who was full of cancerous tumors and she was cured.
Just really quickly, she is also a nurse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a nurse. Cori Bush, by the way, for those of you who don't know even who we're talking about, she's a congresswoman from Missouri, the St. Louis area. She rose to fame by false accusations of racism after the Ferguson riots. Yep. Where even the Obama administration's Justice Department under Eric Holder found that the death of Michael Brown was justified by the police officer involved. It didn't stop people from ruining his life and from burning down the city. And then she rode that to fame and fortune and is now a member of the squad, also under Justice Department investigation for misappropriating her campaign funds for so-called security. And the security man that she sent all that money to protect her is now her husband. Which is a really clever way of making things work. That's a miracle, too. Look at how I'll make the money laundered perfectly through my campaign and right into my husband. Anyway, Cori Bush, she wrote this in her book about how she is a miracle healer and that God used her as an instrument of his wonders to cure a woman of her cancerous tumors. And it took, 2 years for, it's Margaret Brennan, right? At PBS at Firing Line,
yes.
Margaret Brennan, to ask her in passing. Well,
no, I'm sorry, Margaret Hoover.
Margaret Hoover, excuse me.
Yeah.
I always get Margaret Hoover and Maureen Brennan mixed up. I don't know why. Anyway, ask Cori Bush, what's this whole, you can cure cancer and remove people's tumors by just laying your hands on them kind of stuff. Here's her answer.
You're a pastor.
Yes.
You write about healing through faith. At one point, you came across a woman with, quote, several visible tumors on her torso.
Several.
Tell me what happened.
So at that time,
Can you
along
pause
with
it there, Michael,
a
real
group
fast?
of...
I feel like there was a moment there where Cori Bush is like, "Oh man, you read that crap, dude? That no one's supposed to read my book. That way, I just threw that in there as a joke. We publish books so that we can then funnel money from our campaigns into our pockets.
We can return to this subject after we listen to the clip, but we do need to address the fact that Margaret Hoover uncritically let her answer the question. Everyone should listen. There's no interruptions, and her face is sort of. Margaret Hoover stays straight-faced.
Please,
right?
go
Can
on.
you
Tell us
imagine?
more.
Yes, exactly. Can you imagine if any conservative woman was saying this? Can you imagine the reaction? All right, so let's just
Yes, go ahead now, Cori. Please let me.
friends, we would go out on the street and just meet with people and pray with people and offer them food. And this lady came to us and she had these tumors. I mean, she wanted us to like feel them. And I just remember I put my hand on her and my hand just began to move. And the lumps that were there were no longer there. And she was so happy and she like went on about her day. And I never saw her again.
So you think the tumors disappeared?
I do. And this woman was unhoused. She's someone who,
Unhoused.
Had been
Unhoused.
sleeping in the shelters and sleeping on the street. If I can speak a prayer and I can believe what I believe and you believe that this will help you, then why not offer that to people? Because I know prayer has helped me.
As a trained nurse, you're a member of the medical community. How do you think about those spiritual healings versus medical healings?
Yeah, spiritual healing is a part of what you believe, and the medical healing it's a similar thing because I'm going to believe that this treatment that this doctor is giving me is going to help me in my situation. And so as the nurse, I am following the doctor's instructions and giving them whatever the doctor says that they should have. And also for those patients that would say, would you also pray with me? I would pray with them. And so it's the same thing that I would do on the street.
What do you say to people who are likely to disbelieve that story?
They're not the woman that had the tumors.
I mean, there's no denying that.
If you watch the video, Margaret Hoover is just shaking her head, yes, nodding, yes.
Please,
and
go
I'm
on.
not
Tell me more.
I want to be clear. Margaret Hoover often does push back and can really conduct an excellent interview.
But why would you in this case?
But I wonder if she was just in complete shock about what she was hearing here. And look, I do believe in the power of prayer. I certainly believe in sort of miracles happening. This is pretty remarkable I sort of love that my hands started moving when she says like she laid hands on this woman's tumor. My hands started moving like it was a Ouija board, right? And she just started moving around, and then then the tumors disappeared instantly. I mean, I believe Cori Bush should probably be studied.
Dissected in some way.
Yeah.
Cori Bush is a congresswoman, a nurse, and a pastor, and I think she needs to take a vacation. She's got way too much going on. By the way, if you're wondering what kind of pastor she is, I was too. And
Is
so
this a mail order.
I searched
pastor?
it. Well, according to the Wikipedia page, take it for what it's worth. In 2011, Bush established the Kingdom Embassy International Church in St. Louis and served as its pastor. So she established the church. She started the church and then named herself the pastor.
This is like
what is her
people
formal training? Was she ordained in some way, laying on of hands, all that? No, I don't have any background on that. I don't know if I would have a deep theological conversation with her.
It's like someone who's like desperately trying to build their resume, so they just start things.
I'm also a or again, she has a history of money laundering, and so why not establish a 501c3 church?
Why not?
You don't have to pay taxes that way. I'm thinking of doing it myself. Again, don't get me wrong. I do believe that God can cure people of illnesses, and I do believe that there are individuals on this planet walking among us who are used as instruments to do God's work. I don't think God would pick Cori Bush. Just based on looking at the people in history that he has chosen, I don't think a woman who wants abortion to stay legal right up into the moment, and even maybe a couple of days after birth, is the person that God would say, you shall do my wonders. You shall heal people. But, that's Cori Bush. Can I just say, can we compare Cori Bush to the Republican women that New York Magazine is ripping apart right now?
Let's do.
I know which team I want to be on.
Yeah.
Jules, yesterday we talked about this video of Joe Biden at a fundraiser in L.A. with Barack Obama and Jimmy Kimmel, and there's a moment where on video you can see Joe Biden freezes, and he's just sort of, and we've seen like 3-4 times in the last 10 days this moment happening. It happened at the Juneteenth celebration. It happened in Italy. He just freezes, and he seems completely out of it. He's got a frozen look on his face. Barack Obama reaches over for his hand and snaps him out of it, guides him off stage, and pats him on the back. We talked about it quite a bit.
Yeah,
Apparently, the White House thought that they wanted more than a 24-hour news cycle focusing on this video. So yesterday, Karine Jean-Pierre spent most of her press conference lying about the video and saying that it was deceptively edited. I've looked at the video multiple times. It's from an audience member's camera. There's literally no edits in it at all. There's no cuts in it. It is one continuous shot, and we see with our very eyes exactly what is happening on the video. But, this is a White House that peddles in disinformation. But by the way, all right, let's listen. Let's start with cut 5A here, if we could, because we don't have time for the whole 2-minute answer. But this is the crux of it. Here's Karine Jean-Pierre.
Yeah, and I think you all have called this the cheap fakes video, and that's exactly what they are. They are cheap fakes video. They are done in bad faith.
Cheap? What is a cheap fake?
What? Yeah. What is this? Is this?
I know what. Yeah. I know what a deep fake is. A deep fake is where, AI and computer-generated software is used to make something look like
it's fake video.
It's literally fake. It's like animation that isn't real, but that's so she's deceptively using a word that sounds like deep fake.
Right, and it's like cheap shot. She's basically saying it's a cheap shot. You guys are being mean, but then invoking fake.
But the video is not fake. And by the way, when she says you all, the Washington Post wrote something about it, or whatever, it's like, you guys, you have my back, White House correspondents. Please give me a break.
This is the truth. Larry, they're not behaving. The media is not behaving.
Right.
They are showing uncut videos. They are picking up on things that what they like to call conservative media is picking up on, and they are enraged that they are not playing by the rules. Remember when Biden said, I wish you guys would play by the rules.
Yeah.
This is them not playing by the rules.
The rules that they lay out. And can we just, since we're talking about edited videos, for this White House to accuse other people of edited videos, Joe Biden cannot put out a videotape statement longer than 30 seconds without there being something like 7 or 8 different edits.
Right.
In it.
Right.
They are the masters at editing video to make Joe Biden look good and coherent and conscious. There's nothing fake about this video. We talked about it yesterday at length. There was nothing fake about the video with the paratrooper.
Right. There was nothing fake about any of the videos that people have been. The Juneteenth video of him freezing. Okay, nothing.
We're just looking at their feeds.
Again. I've always mentioned this is libs of TikTok. The reason that they hate Higher Rachik so much is because all she does is post what they say. And here again, we're just posting the videos, the uncut videos, and they can't take it. They can't take it.
They have to keep lying about it. They have to keep lying about it. And they're going to continue lying about it until you shut your mouth and stop pointing out what you see with your very eyes. George Orwell wrote this script many years ago. We're just living in it. It's 5:53.
Larry O'Connor here with real stories from real people.